Yeah.
Hello everybody, Savat the Mighty here, and I'm back with another Eve Echoes video. In today's video, we are back on the Fulmination test server, and we're going to be taking a look at the Talos. Now, before we get started, if you do like my content, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do release new content in the future. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the Talos 2. Talos 2. So, I was taking a look at the close range fit of some of the other assault battle cruisers, basically, and I figured I would take a look at this one as well. So I was throwing it together here and just trying to figure out what I would do and putting it together mainly for the way that I would put together the other ones. And again, if you don't know, I'll go over the core bonuses of the ship real quick. So its roll bonuses, it gets minus 95% large railgun power grid needed and minus 50% large railgun capacitor needed per shot. For large railgun operation bonus per level, it's going to get plus 5% large railgun damage and plus 5% large railgun tracking speed. Now also for advanced battlecruiser command bonus, it's going to get minus 5% inertia modifier and minus 4% signature radius bonus. So these stats are pretty good. Just like all of the assault battleships, it's going to be able to use those large weapon trees overall very well, but sometimes making the brawler fits on these guys is a little bit more tricky. Trickier on some than others. Others it works very well on. If you're just going to get the ship out of the box, it's going to have an overall defense of 32,286 with a flight velocity of 153, a warp speed of 2.7 AUs, a power grid output of 1,119 megawatts, a capacitor of 3,463 gigajoules with a cargo hold capacity of 1,203. Primarily, this ship wants you to armor tank it, and armor tank it is what we're doing. So, how do we fit this out? Again, I wanted to try the close range brawler fit, so I did put a core C-type large snub-nose railgun, and then I put an additional 6 of his friends on there for a total of 7. So with those fit, what we're looking at here is the optimal range is 9 km with an accuracy fall-off of 13.5. The tracking on these things is going to have to be pretty insane to be able to hit effectively, so I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to pan out. Maybe I'll be surprised, maybe it'll work out extremely well. In the mid slots, we do have a Predator Stasis Webifier and a Predator Warp Scram. Mainly we have those two things in there to stop the speeds of those higher ships. The faster ships, I apologize. And a Vikralakis Medium Energy Nosferatu to help keep our power up so we can run the things that we need to run. We do have our trusty Mark 9 Vespa. In the low slots, we have a Corellium C-type medium afterburner. We have a Corpus C-type large armor repairer, a Corpus C-type adaptive armor hardener, a Corpum C-type reactive armor hardener, and 2 of the Corellium C-type magnetic field stabilizers. Our whole goal is to make this ship just destroy things before it needs to do anything else, and be able to get through content pretty quickly. And for our rigs, we went full damage on this, Railgun Burst Aerator, a couple of those, both level 3s, and a Railgun Collision Accelerator level 3. In our engineering slots, we have a Semiconductor Memory Cell 3, Capacitor Control Circuit 3, followed with a second Semiconductor Memory Cell 3. This does not make us cap stable, but this is very close. With a Vikralakis Medium Energy Nosferatu, we're sitting at 42 minutes and 41 seconds. Which is quite a good enough time, I believe, and should be just fine. Alright, the defense on this, basically what we're looking at, it has 48,004 effective hit points, with 11,607 coming from the shields. And it has an EM resistance of 0, thermal of 20, kinetic of 46, explosive of 50. And for the armor, it has an EM resistance of 50, thermal of 35, kinetic 36, explosive 10, at 13,793 armor hit points. For its structure, it's sitting at 14,049 structure hit points with 33% resistances across the board. For targeting, it has 31 points with a scan resolution of 286, signature radius of 173, and can lock a maximum of 7 targets. Its power grid is 1,262 out of 1,678 with the max skills, and its navigation is a 221.85. This is where I think this ship is going to come in a little short at. So its warp prep time is going to be 6.84 seconds with a warp speed of 2.7 AUs. So running with just the afterburner on here, I don't know if it's going to move at the speeds that I want this ship to move in order to be able to make use of the short range on these weapons. But we'll find out. Maybe we'll have to play around with the rigs a little bit more, not make it nearly as stable, and see there. But I'm going to go ahead and take this one out, and we'll see how it performs. I will see you guys at the anomaly. Alright, here we are outside of the encounter. We're going to go ahead and do what we normally do. We're going to see what its speed is and what its armor resistances are going to be here. Let's have a look. So as far as speed goes, it's going to move at 517. I guess that's pretty good. And for its defense, it's going to be sitting at 67 EM, 57 thermal, 57 kinetic, and an explosive of 40. Okie dokie. So let's go ahead and take this guy in and see what it can do. So I am doing a tier 10. We want to basically be right there. Encounter here. So the encounter that I have set up here is on expert level. It is going to be worth 2,500,000, and it recommends using a T9 battle cruiser or a T10, or it recommends using a T10 battleship or using a T9 battle cruiser. Hopefully that won't be any type of issue, as I have taken lesser stuff in here. I'm just really curious to see how it's going to apply this damage, and if it's going to apply the damage good. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and lock everything up. And we're going to start approaching this here ship, the Atrion 2. And we're going to focus fire on him. And we are going to do the same thing with his friend. Okay. So they're sitting out at the a little over 20. And it was having trouble applying that damage. But that's to be expected, honestly. Okay, we're going to activate one of our damage mods, and it goes up to 2,365.86 DPS. Our shields are dropping quite rapidly, but this is putting out quite a huge chunks of damage on these guys. It's the smaller ships that we really have to worry about. Okay. We're going to put our buddy over here into orbit. And we're going to start laying on the damage real nice and thick on him. Okay, let's start our armor wrapper. So we are in perfect range for them to apply their full damage. We are applying our full damage. Biggest problem with all of this is we're applying tons of damage, but our tank is fairly light for having to do this. Our speed is nowhere near capable of truly tanking for our speed tanking, so we're kind of really dependent on killing stuff quickly. Alright, moving over to the next target. I would say it is actually taking out, that was a full-blown battleship. Took that out pretty fast, not only just a battleship, a tier 10 battleship. See, all of these are the level 10, which does give them that bit more hit points. Let's activate our drainage of the energy to make sure that we stay topped off. And we're just going to start flying out into space. Because this guy should die shortly. And we're going to have to figure out exactly how we're going to take out these smaller ships. There we go. Alright, so let's start locking up those smaller ships first. Let's turn and approach. Focus fire. Want to be trying to come at him in a straight line if we can. It looks like that's definitely not going to happen. So let's turn our butts back around and try to apply some damage more fully to him. There we go. We got him locked down a little bit better. It is still able to apply the damage. Okay, we're doing a good job. Our next buddy over here is going to be this tiny little guy. The Atrion, we are a bit close to it, but hopefully again we can just pull away from him is the plan. Get him in a line. Perfect. And then we'll turn this guy around and head back in. And while we're doing that, we're going to lock up the rest of our large targets. Looks like we did get a pretty good shot off on there. And we'll go in a straight approach here. So it does look like even outwards towards 30, we're still able to apply that damage. Which is pretty good, better than I expected, to be honest. Let's turn that off for the time being. Put this guy into orbit. And give him a little bit of what for. So not too terribly bad at all. It was able to actually handle that wave quite nicely. Applying quite a bit of damage to the Myrmidon. We'll go ahead and throw this Megathron into orbit. Perfect. And we can start working on him. Let's go ahead and get our energy going back up. And pop our damage. Cutting through the shields quite nicely. Now we're into the armor, and the armor is going away just as quickly. Applying its damage very, very good to both shields and armor. Kind of like a hot knife through butter, really. This thing does do quite a bit of damage. Okay. We are going to start moving away in a straight line now. And we're going to take a look at our third wave here as soon as it spawns. And see what type of troublesome issues we're going to have to deal with. We know he's troublesome as well as... Oh, we got a lot of small fries in this one. Okay, not a problem. Well, he should be coming right towards us, so... Let's go ahead and start giving him those blasters. Or snub noses, rather. Siphon off a little bit of energy from him. Okay, as he gets into range, we can go ahead and lock him down. Perfect. Now let's turn around on this guy and give him the business as well. Perfect. So that went very swimmingly, actually. Let's turn on our armor wrapper. It's getting about time that we're going to need to use it. And we can lock up the other guys here. And again, we're looking good. We have an Atreon 2 now that we're going to be taking care of. Excellent. We can throw him into orbit, focus fire, and activate all the fun stuff. And he should go down quite quickly as well. And it does look like the armor tank is definitely capable of even letting the armor get down a little bit and getting it back up to a sustainable level for these just regular news missions. And so bringing the high damage definitely seems to work. It's going to make these very quick. Good, good. Let's go ahead and throw the next ship into orbit. We can turn off the armor wrapper for now. And it's doing okay damage. Yeah, we're doing absolutely fine. And lastly, we have our battleship, which got a little further away from us than I would like. That's okay. We'll get in there and we will give him what for as well and call it a day. So, overall, I think the ship did perform quite nicely. With some piloting there, making sure that everything works out. It looks like the tracking on it is definitely good enough to be able to hit the smaller ships, as long as they're treated with a little bit of caution. And obviously it has no problem whatsoever at applying that damage to some nice, large, big, juicy targets and making short work of them. Overall, I still think that this ship would be much, much more suited for a long-range combat style, but it does brawl quite nicely, actually, especially for some of the hardest tier 1 news missions, basically, that you can do. You should be able to burn through those quite quickly if this is one of the ships that you have as choice. It does have to be extremely close range, though, and that extreme close range really would make me want to put a heavier tank on here and sacrifice some of the damage, personally, just to make sure I survive and be able to do a little bit harder stuff. But all in all, not bad. I quite enjoyed this ship. So, I guess that's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. If you do like everything, let me know what you think about the ship in the comments. Do you have this ship? Do you use it as a close-range brawler, or are you more of a long-range sniper with it? I'd be curious to know. Alright guys, Thank you for everything. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the next video.